I'd like to call the Monday, December 10th, 2018 Blue Springs Planning Commission meeting to order. And if please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to thank you for that, and also welcome tonight. At this time, I hope you will indulge me. I do have a former commissioner present, and I would like to wish her well by recognizing her for her service. So if you would, Ms. Duhan, join me up front. And her plaque says, Ginger Duhan, in recognition of your leadership, dedication, and commitment as a planning commissioner from January 2011 to September 2018, we thank you very much for your service to our city of Blue Springs.
Thank you very much. It was an honor.
Thank you. And hugs. Hold it up and turn it around.
Got it.
Thank you for allowing me to do that since she was in town. Our agenda for this evening, we have the consent agenda. Number 2, we have the planned development final plan for the Garden of Colonial, the final plats, number 3 of Gardens of Colonial Highlands, with other business, and finally with adjournment. With that, I would entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
I move that we pass the consent agenda.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Graham. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried for approval of the consent agenda. Now we have items 2 and 3. We'll hear together and vote separately. And Mr. Jury.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Planning Commissioners. Before you today are 2 separate requests. One's for a PD final plan for the gardens at Colonial Highlands, which that incorporates the full site, phase 1 and 2 of the gardens at Colonial Highlands. And then the second request is approval of a final plat for just the first phase of the garden at Colonial Highlands. And you can see this bottom, the southern half of the site is approximately where phase 1, and the northern portion of the site is phase 2. Phase 1 does incorporate about 12 acres and 30 lots, 5 tracts, and the total of the 2 phases, 1 and 2, is approximately 24 acres and 64 lots and 6 tracts. This is the final plan showing up here. This is a continuation, I guess, of the plan development concept plan that was heard and held and approved, I guess, back in August of 2017. And when you guys also heard it. The main change since that time, as one of the conditions of the plan development concept plan, was to add a sidewalk connection in the northwest corner of the site, which was across lots 36 and 37, and called that out as a separate tract, which they do show here, as you can see. And so with that portion of it, they are in compliance with the majority, or the final plan is in compliance with the majority of the concept plan. I will mention that by adding that tract there, they did reduce the sizes of lots 36 and 37 to be less than the frontage width minimum. Instead of the 81 feet lot width requirement, those 2 lots, and only those 2 lots out of all shown lots here, are less than 81. They're about 71 feet across in width, but they are, since they are triangular in size or in shape, they do have larger lot areas than required. And the applicant also, or the engineer actually mentioned that they are still buildable even though this reduction, because since it is a triangle shaped lot, they can just move the building line or the front of the building back a little bit farther to still meet the setback, the side setbacks, and use their footprint that they're showing here, which I'll show here in a little bit. So this is just a minor deviation, which is allowed by code and does not require amended PD concept plan, since it is impacting less than 5% of the lots. As for the buildings and the building footprints, the applicant provided two separate floor plans, and one of them is a single story and the other one is a two-story. The single story is approximately 2,500 square feet, about 1,250 square feet per unit, since it is a duplex, 1,250 per. And then the the two-story duplex is about 3,000 square feet and roughly 1,500 per unit. There are, with each floor plan, there's 3 elevations that the applicant provided with a single story floor plan, and then there's the 1 elevation that they provided on the 2-story duplex. Here's one of the single-story duplex elevations. As you can see, they do provide, or every front elevation provides a mixture of masonry, veneer, and vinyl siding, and then 3 of the 4 options do provide a third material on the front facade, which is the vinyl shake, which you can see in this elevation above the garage doors there. Here's one of the other front elevations and the third, and then the 2-story one is here, as you can see. So all of the duplexes do provide the front entrance features as required by code, and the garages do cover less than the 25% maximum of the front facade. For the 2-story building, it does cover only about 12% of the front facade, and then for the single-story building, it does cover almost the 25, but it's still under at 23% of the front facade covered by garages. As far as vehicle and pedestrian access, there are a few things I guess I'll mention. For phase 1, the applicant is not required actually to do any improvements to Wyatt Road, because the original plat that Timothy Lutheran platted a while ago when they were building the church actually improved Wyatt Road at that point and did full road improvements for half their frontage. And so this property, being part of that original plat, does not have to do the road improvements to Wyatt Road, but Timothy Lutheran only did sidewalk on the portion that they're developing on the north side of Wyatt Road. So this project will be required to do their portion of the sidewalk along Wyatt Road as well. Along Major Road will be required to at least do full road improvements for half the property, but since the access point goes a little bit farther than half their property length, whichever one's greater they'll have to do, whether it's getting the access point to their entrance on Major Road or full road improvements for half their property length. And that'll be a completely new road for the portion that they build. As far as sidewalks on Major, they will be required to do the 8-foot sidewalk on, if they build the full road improvements, 8-foot sidewalk on the south side, and then the 5-foot sidewalk on the north side. Interior to the site, they are required to do 4-foot sidewalk on both sides of every local road within the subdivision. As far as landscaping, the plan here shows the proposed landscaping, and for the majority of this, it does meet the requirements. There are just a few errors, I guess, in the landscape plan. The table is calculated correctly, but some of the plants aren't shown actually on the plan itself, and just trying to make sure that we get a revised, one of the conditions is to make sure that we get a revised plan that makes sure all of the corrections are made on the final copy. There are some street trees as well that they need to add. As in terms of amenities, the applicant provided a trail system throughout the subdivision. There's a few trails that I'll point out. There's one in the middle of the subdivision. There's one along the detention pond in the southwest corner. There's a connection point to the existing trail in Colonial Highlands to the east, and then also that trail I mentioned previously in the northwest corner. And so all of those will actually connect to the public sidewalk system and utilize the sidewalks from there. As far as public improvements, for phase 1, street, sewer, storm, and water still need to be completed. And then sidewalks, landscaping, and the trails will either need to be installed or financially guaranteed. As of today, the street, sewer, storm, and water have not yet been completed. So you can recommend approval since on the final plat, since that's not a binding approval at this point, but before it can move on to City Council, all the public improvements do need to be installed as required by Public Works. Finally, I do have a few items that I'll mention on the final plat. Mostly clerical errors just on the final plat that'll need to be resolved, taking a few easements or clarifying the location of a few easements and removing build lines and landscape easements where applicable. But the one thing I should mention is that with Wyatt Road, the sidewalk required, if they do financially guarantee the sidewalk along Wyatt Road, a construction easement, a 15-foot construction easement should be shown along the entire southern boundary of this phase 1. In case the city does need to go in and install that sidewalk, then we'll have the land to do it. And partially because the grades right there is pretty steep grade, and we might have to build a retaining wall or something. So in order to do that, we might need to utilize that 15-foot construction easement along Wyatt Road. So that would be something that would need to be added to the final plat if the sidewalk's financially guaranteed there. So with that, staff does recommend approval subject to the 5 conditions of the PD final plan as well as the final plat. And I'll stand for any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Jury? I gather not. Would the applicant like to come forward?
Tyler Sallee with Sallee Development, 3730 Northeast Troon Drive, Lee Summit, Missouri, 64064. Happy to answer any questions if there is any. I know we're here probably a little bit earlier than normal as far as not having all the improvements 100% done, but we appreciate you guys hearing us tonight and letting us come before you, and we're just a couple weeks away from having everything done. So I don't think we'll be at the next city council meeting, but we hope to be shortly thereafter, and winter just came a little early. So anyways, we appreciate you guys letting us come before you tonight and request this approval. So any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Are there any questions for the applicant? Yes. Mr. Fairbanks?
Yeah, Mr. Sallee, I looked at the plans of your 3 different duplexes, and the only difference that I'm seeing is the front line of the roof. It's just like you've got the same thing over and over again. It's just whether or not it's got trim on it, or whether or not it's got vertical siding or shakes. And it seems like our preference might be for more variety on the facades.
Sure.
Have you considered that at all?
Yeah, we have. We're going to try to do our best to alternate elevations, not do duplicate elevations side by side across the street, try to mix things up with having ranch and 2-story product throughout the neighborhood. And we think by using some different materials, different colors, things like that, that we'll be able to offer a good variety of differences between the elevations.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? No? It's supposed to be 50 tomorrow, though.
Yes, it is. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I know that that's what they're looking for, is better weather, so. All right, is there any other comments or anything? If not, I would entertain a motion for item 2, which is the plan development, final plan.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Phillips?
I would move for approval of the plan development final plan PDF 11-18-6669 with the 5 staff conditions.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fairbanks? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion carried. I would entertain a motion for the final plat of Gardens of Colonial Island. Commissioner Billups? Said you looked at me.
I would also move for approval of the final plat PF 11-18-6670 with the 5 staff conditions.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fairbanks? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, the final plat will be heard at the city council meeting. It's scheduled for December 17th at 6 o'clock, but due to the public improvements needing to be installed, our recommendation will go forward, though, to the city council, but it can't be approved until those are done. So, as he said, we hope for better weather for you so you can get them done and get on the agenda for the city council. So, thank you very much. So that was also, the final plat was also approved. The other business that we have tonight is that our December 26th meeting, due to the lack of agenda items, they were so kind to move them to January, we will not have a meeting, if that's all right with everyone.
Great.
So hope you have a happy holiday. So our next meeting will actually be January the 14th, 2019, actually. So that's our next meeting. Is there any other business? All right. If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move. to
Second.
adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Casey, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, so I wish everyone a safe season, holiday season, and see you in 2019. Meeting's adjourned.